Today, I'm joined by Katherine Aguirre. And Katherine, welcome, and please tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me today, Amy. So my name is Katherine, and in a professional capacity, I work in HR. So I've worked in a variety of different industries, including hospitality, wholesale, banking, recruitment agencies. And my current role, I support the employee relations function. So advising from an employment law standpoint and assisting, being the bridge and connector between management and employees.
Wow, sounds like a really exciting role that you're
Yeah,
in. Yeah,
I definitely love it.
good. So we're here today to talk about a really important topic. We're going to talk about suicide awareness. And I wanted you to tell us a little bit about why this topic is so important to you.
Of course. So this topic is very near and dear to my heart. So I've lived experience with my boyfriend who died by suicide 5 years ago. And that experience has shaped who I am personally and in a professional capacity as well. So with my HR hat on as well, I become informed of different intimate events happening in employees' lives where I maybe have to pose a question about mental health concerns or up to including suicide thoughts, suicidal ideation. So I think this is a really important topic to come at from a community standpoint. I really believe in the peer support method. I think it takes a lot of different intervention approaches to help a struggling individual. So I'm really happy to have this platform to educate and to advocate on this topic as much as I can.
And there's some important timing related to why we're doing this topic, why we're presenting on this topic now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the importance of this? This is September.
For sure. So September correlates with Suicide Prevention Week. So the second week of September is really focused on suicide prevention, suicide awareness. So in saying the words and breaking the stigma, we are creating a safe environment to initiate these difficult conversations and hopefully make them a little bit more comfortable for people. So it's really timely in that sense that we're having this conversation now.
You touched on it a little bit. Why should this be important to HR leaders?
Yeah, for sure. So in our roles, being a connector between management and employees, we are just in a position of privilege and responsibility where we become aware that employees may be struggling. We advocate on behalf of our EAP programs, our benefit providers, and just in terms of like the business case of it as well, employees suffering from mental health is increased absenteeism, increased turnover, stress leaves. So we really want to advocate and make sure that employees are able to come their best selves to work. So from that standpoint, we have that privilege to assess someone who's struggling and then support them and divert them to longer term supports.
And so what are some of your ideas for how HR leaders can help people in their area of expertise?
For sure. So I am a big advocate that knowledge is the best way to deal with this conversation and to this topic. So being familiar with warning signs. So if you have an employee who has undergone a stressful event, is communicating to you that they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they're maybe using words that they're depressed. A lot of times people will have these cries for help and will notice these signs. So having just the comfortability to have these conversations. So a lot of people think if I bring up suicide, I'm potentially planting the idea in someone's head. And I just want to clear up that misconception that it's always better for that person to kind of alleviate and have that conversation. So statistically, it's actually better to bring it up. So that way that person's almost relieved that they're going through it internally alone. And now you've basically put it on the table for them to say, I have been feeling this way. Now I can talk about it. Now I can refer to some counseling. I can use my EAP. I can maybe see what our benefit provides in terms of psychological benefits and therapy or any counseling of that manner. So definitely being familiar and comfortable in saying the word suicide. It's not a bad word. It's important to have an explicit and direct conversation with employees when you have an inkling that they're struggling or potentially thinking about it.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So how can this, you talked a little bit about implementing the idea, but I also wanted to mention that you're probably very aware that we are setting up a hotline. There's a hotline in the US already set up, and we are
Okay.
setting up a hotline in Canada as well. Are you familiar with this?
Actually, no. If you could
Yeah.
speak a little bit on it, I would love to hear more.
Yeah. So I'm gonna add the number to, I'm gonna see if I can add it to the actual film, because I just read about this as I was sort of preparing for our conversation today, and I
Mhm.
believe it's 998. So it's very easy for people to dial, and they will get connected with a mental health professional rather than a police officer when they call to discuss the crisis situation that they may be in.
Okay.
Because as you probably know, that if we can prevent someone in the moment from committing an act of suicide, they can go on to not have these issues again if they get the right help and the right intervention. So
Oh,
so
for
yes,
sure.
I will put that number up, and it doesn't come into effect until November. So that's something for people to be aware of as well.
Okay, no, that's very interesting. I actually just completed my suicide prevention skills training, and there were two officers in the training, and they had said approximately 30% of their calls have a mental health related
Mm.
element. So training for them is really important, and they do want to defer and make more resources of that effect. So separating like criminal offenses from the mental health piece. So that's very interesting. That's really going to be a rollout that I'll be paying attention to.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing this insight with our community. I'm sure that it's going to help a lot of people. So thanks very much.
Thank you.